Hey guys, Prowl 1701 here, and today we're going to talk about the Doctor Who 60th anniversary specials, and I'm going to be ranking them, kind of talking about my thoughts on them as a whole. So going from least to best of the three, let me start off by saying I did enjoy all three. They all had little things you can nitpick, and I don't think any of them are essential classics, with Wild Blue Yonder maybe coming the closest to that. But I don't think any of them are just standout essential Doctor Who other than being the 60th anniversary specials. They're kind of just, especially Star Beast and The Giggle. They're both just kind of fine middle of the season stories. As 60th anniversary specials, I think all three are a little disappointing. They feel more like just regular episodes in the season. But none of them were bad. I enjoyed them all to one degree or another. So at the bottom of the list, I would say, is The Giggle. Partially because it's the most disappointing. Being Tennant's last episode, so we think going into it. Of course, there will be spoilers in this. It just doesn't live up to expectations. It wraps up too quickly. Neil Patrick Harris is great as the toy maker. Especially in like the first 2/3. He's creepy at times. He's ominous. He just comes across as threatening a lot. Some people have been mocking him because of the accent. People think that he is doing that as a caricature to be Rossicist, because some people consider the original production of the Celestial Toymaker to be Rossicist. It isn't. Just to be clear, the original Toymaker isn't. People are like, well, Celestial in some cultures. That's not what they were going for. There was no double entendre. It's called the Celestial Toymaker because he, in the episode, is a celestial being from another realm that is immortal. This should be common sense, but imagine living in a time where you had to explain that 2 + 2 was 4 to grown adults. You'd think that would be silly. You wouldn't have to explain 2 + 2 is 4 to most grown adults. That's common sense. Yes, but that is the world I live in now. I feel like I have to explain 2 + 2 is 4. That's the same thing I feel like I'm having to do here. That's not what it means. As for the toy maker's outfit, that he wears the Chinese garb, I know that back in the day, there was this Fu Manchu speak that comes off very badly now, but I still don't feel like that's what they were doing with the toy maker. I think he was just wearing Chinese garb. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. As a matter of fact, the people who are calling it racist are actually racist themselves, because they're basically implying that the toy maker can't wear those clothes because he was white, and that's racist. Like, seriously, telling somebody that they can't wear certain clothes because of the color of their skin is racist. So if you're one of those people pointing at the toy maker and Celestial Toymaker and going, well, that's racist, he shouldn't be wearing that, guess what? You're racist. So no one should ever be told they can't wear something because of the color of their skin. So there's nothing wrong with Michael Goff wearing that outfit at all. If I wanted to wear a Chinese outfit because I thought it was comfortable, I should be allowed to do so. That would be like telling someone, well, you can't write or draw manga because you're not Japanese. That would be racist as fuck. It's the same thing here. So I have a huge issue with that. That's a bit of a tangent, but I do have a huge issue with people who say that about the original Celestial Toymaker. I find those people to be of very limited intelligence, honestly. To be fair, everyone's entitled to their opinion, and I certainly don't deserve to tell people what they can and can't be offended by, but I think that's just an absurd assumption to make about that story. So some people have said, well, Russell's trying to lean into the fact that the toy maker is purposely doing that to annoy and upset people, maybe to throw them off their game. I think that's silly. And if so, if the toy maker is a Rossicist character, it's because Russell's made him that way, not the original production. Which is hilarious, because Russell's supposed to be against that kind of thing. But, like, he makes the joke at the beginning to the one guy about being from a sunny climate because of... so, if the toy maker is Rossicist, it's a new thing that Russell T. Davies did. The reason that's a long way for me to get to this. Let me get to the reason why the toy maker is using all of the fake accents and why he's doing them the way he's doing. If you have seen the original Celestial toy maker, then you know how the Doctor won the game. This is a pivotal point, because the Doctor wins the game at the end of the Celestial toy maker by making his final move from inside the TARDIS by mimicking the toy maker's voice.
Go to move 1023. Go to move 1023. Master switch.
So I firmly believe what the toy maker is doing, so he doesn't get thwarted the same way, is he's purposely doing fake voices so the Doctor can't use his voice against him again. He's learned from that mistake in their first matchup against the first Doctor. And that he's purposely doing that with his voice so the Doctor can't use his real voice. And to me, that's a clever theory. That's why he's constantly switching between the voices, too. Between American and French, and mostly the German one, and the British one, is so the Doctor can't mimic him. And can't use that to advantage like he did in the actual original Celestial toy maker. The dance number feels a little out of place. I'm really torn on that, because on one hand, the dance number is hilarious, I will admit. On the other hand, it feels very out of character for the Celestial toy maker. Now, it feels perfectly in character for Neil Patrick Harris. To be clear, it's perfectly done for Neil Patrick Harris, but it feels very out of place for the Celestial toy maker, especially going by how he's portrayed and performed in the Celestial toy maker. This very serious, omnipotent being, which, again, Neil Patrick Harris portrays him as that in a lot of the early parts of this story. It's only kind of at the dance number, and after that, it goes a little over the top for the most part. I still like his performance. I think David Tennant and Catherine Tate are putting in good performances. It's nice to see Kate back. I think Kate is written well in this story. It's great to see Mel back. It's wonderful to see Mel get some development. It's nice to see her actually using her computer skills, and Bonnie getting to use her music background in it as well. I like that. The cinematography looks good in it. The effects look good. I love when the Doctor's in the long hallway. I think a lot of the stuff going on there is really good. I don't like the fact the Doctor is so scared of the toy maker. It's so weird, because I went back and watched the end of the Celestial toy maker. They had like the last 6 minutes on YouTube. And when you watch the first Doctor facing down the toy maker, watch the confidence he has, especially for being the young Doctor. The confidence he has when he's facing down the first Doctor. He never feels on the back foot or at a loss. I mean, he's constantly, even though he doesn't have the solution yet, he's constantly looking for it, even if he's stalling for time. But he never feels like he's scared of the toy maker. They are really good on screen. They have good chemistry, Michael Gough and William Hartnell, in those scenes. They feel like two peers, even though the toy maker probably wouldn't think of the Doctor as a peer, but he seems to have a little bit of respect for the Doctor, and the Doctor seems to have a little respect for the toy maker. Where they each know they're both a dangerous foe in their own way.
Corrupt to destroy. Think of the exhilaration of that power. Serve me and live. Never! Never, my friend. You have been defeated. No. Of course, I mustn't. You very nearly caught me then. Make your last move, Doctor. Make your move. But if I do, this place vanishes, And then you have won completely? And if this place vanishes, then the TARDIS and the rest of us will vanish also. Correct. That is the price of success. Make your last move, Doctor. Make your last move.
And I just feel like Hartnell and Michael Gough play off each other better than the Doctor and the toy maker do here. It doesn't quite work after going back and watching that scene. The bi-generation thing doesn't bother me as much as it does some people. I don't know why it doesn't bother me, but it just doesn't. I think, I'll come back to that actually, but it didn't really bother me like it would some people, and like you think it might me, but it doesn't. It's interesting watching 14 and 15 work together. I like the fact 14's kind of getting to heal now. See, I actually get that. A lot of people are like, why would he want to sit at home and do that when the Doctor's all about going out and seeing the universe? I mean, the whole point of the original Doctor Who and the Doctor going out wasn't for him to go around saving everybody, because the first Doctor at first didn't want to go around saving everybody. He didn't worry about that. He wanted to go exploring. It was a fun trip. The whole point of the Doctor exploring the universe was to explore the universe, to see the universe. He wasn't out to save the universe. Even like Capaldi says, like when he mentions this planet's protected, and the first Doctor's like, this planet's what? And he goes, oh yeah, early days. The original point of the Doctor was he just wanted to see the universe, just to have fun, to explore, a whole galaxy to explore, as a certain little cosmic hobo once said. I think the closest parallel I could think of is like, imagine when you're 21, 22, and you want to see the world, you want to make your impact, you're full of life, you're full of energy, and then you hit your mid to late 40s, and you're just kind of tired, you're a little worn down, life has kind of grinded you down, you've been through things, you have regrets, you have things you wish you could change, you're probably at that point in your life, maybe you're ready to stop, settle down in one spot, have a family, relax, kick your feet up. That's kind of how it is for the Doctor here. You know, he's been through so much, especially post, with the Time War and post-Time War, he's been through so much that he kind of needs a break. He needs to settle down, especially since he could always come out of retirement and go soaring off later. And that the 15th Doctor seems like that. He seems like he comes from further down the Doctor's timeline. Just the regeneration went wonky. Like maybe he wasn't supposed to regenerate there originally, but the toy maker showing up threw everything off because, it kind of, like, it's almost like the timeline broke and the toy maker showed up when he shouldn't have. And so, since the 14th Doctor is not supposed to regenerate there, he bi-generated because that's the 15th incarnation that's supposed to come from later back, and that's after the Doctor has healed himself. That's why the 15th Doctor seems like he doesn't have the post-traumatic stress disorder, just to, put it in simple terms. And why he seems to have gotten over that. He has more of a zest for life, ready to, again, go out, explore, and see the universe like the Doctors of old, which is neat to see. I feel like the ending of The Giggle is very anticlimactic. Just a game of catch. I get it. It's been pointed out to me the first game was, a game of intelligence, of brains. The second game was a game of luck, and the third game was a game of skill, physical prowess. But still, the second and third games seem very anticlimactic. They do not live up to that first game from the Celestial Toymaker between the companions and the Doctor. And that's the thing to remember, too, is the game in Celestial Toymaker wasn't just the Doctor. It was the companions. It was basically two games. It was basically the Doctor was doing the brains half of the game, and the companions were doing the physical half of the game in the original. And I don't know, the ending of Celestial Toymaker just feels more climactic to me, the way it ends. It's such a satisfying ending. I love episode 4 of the Celestial Toymaker so much. Really looking forward to the animation. I think the animation style really fits that story. And it wouldn't fit a lot of them, but it fits that story. Whereas this one is anticlimactic. It's just a game of catch, and Neil Patrick Harris just misses a catch. I thought it was a trick. I was expecting something else to happen, and he just misses a catch, and I'm like, oh, that's all. Oh, okay. Feels very anticlimactic. I think one of the reasons I'm not as bothered by the bi-generation is what the Giggle did make me realize, while I still enjoyed the episode, that I don't have the anticipation for Doctor Who that I used to. This new era of Doctor Who, I'm not really looking forward to. I don't know why. I guess I take that back. It's because Doctor Who is so different now. Which, I mean, it's a show that's about change and rejuvenating itself. It has been for decades. So it's disingenuous to say that, well, this doesn't feel like Doctor Who. But if I said this doesn't feel like Doctor Who, a lot of you would know what I meant. But it's a disingenuous thing to say, because 80s Doctor Who doesn't feel like 60s Doctor Who. I mean, Troughton era Doctor Who doesn't feel like Hartnell era Doctor Who, to be fair. Pertwee era Doctor Who doesn't feel like Baker era Doctor Who. Tom Baker era. So the show has reinvented itself for years, but all of classic Doctor Who still feels like Doctor Who. Even modern Who, which has always been a different beast. Modern Who has always been a very different thing from classic Who. Let's just get that out of the way. But even classic Doctor Who, I always thought of as a soft reboot. I could always see it in the same canon as classic Who. But these past few years, it doesn't. And Doctor Who at this point feels like a hard reboot of Doctor Who to me. It feels like Batman Begins is a hard reboot of Batman. You know, it's not in the same continuity as Batman 89 and Batman Returns. It's a whole new hard reboot. That's what Doctor Who feels like to me now. It feels like a hard reboot of Doctor Who because it's so different now. It's really hard to see Doctor Who in it. And the funny thing is, I'm not the only one to see this, but what really gets me is some of the fans who seem to feel this way aren't just classic fans. Like, it's not just the classic fans, the ones who watched Doctor Who back in the classic days, the older fans who are seeing this. You even have people who started with the modern show, and maybe they've gone back and watched classic Who, but people who were kids in the 2000s and 2010s who started with Eccleston and Tennant, even they are saying things about Doctor Who feeling different, not being the same, going, I don't know, off the rails, whatever you want to say, that it doesn't quite feel like Doctor Who to them. So this new Doctor Who doesn't even feel like what we traditionally call New Who. Like it's changed that much just since the 2005 reboot. That's interesting to me. And I think that's one of the reasons why the bi-generation thing didn't bother me as much, as I feel so unattached to current Doctor Who. Like I was asking myself the other day, I was thinking about this, and I said, if I didn't run a YouTube channel, would I still be interested in watching the new episodes of Doctor Who? And the honest answer to that is, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, like, I'd still want to watch the Christmas special, because I really need to see more of Ncuti Gatwa to form an opinion of Ncuti Gatwa, honestly, because we don't get enough of him, I think, to form a viable, realistic opinion. I certainly don't think it's right for anyone to trash his Doctor off what little screen time we've gotten of him. By that same token, I'm sick of these people who just think he's going to be great, he's going to be one of the best ever off the short time we've gotten with him. Because that's also ridiculous. So I don't think it's right to put him down or to praise him needlessly over the short amount of screen time we've had with him, because we need more of him in the role. So I'm looking forward to the Christmas special more for that. But more, I think it's because I run a Doctor Who YouTube channel that, interestingly enough, there are people who seem to enjoy watching. We're over 1,100 subscribers now. So I would imagine people would want my opinion on it. At least one of my patrons, he would probably prefer me watch it so he doesn't have to. Although he might watch for Molly Gibson if his wife will let him. Or Millie Gibson, that's it. Excuse me. But I don't have, like, I get way more excited for, like, when I get, like, classic Who stuff in the mail. Like, I was way more excited for getting Image of the Findal than I was for watching any of the 60th anniversary specials. You know, I'm way more excited for Celestial Toymaker getting animated, or when my Underwater Menace steelbook came in, or, you know, wondering what the next collection set's going to be, and they need to announce that. You know, I'm way more excited about getting the next Tom Baker set in the collection range, or getting a Patrick Troughton set in the collection range. That gets me way more excited than season 1 of New Who coming out, excuse me, in the spring. I just can't get fired up about it. I feel so disconnected from it. It just doesn't feel like the show that I've watched since I was like 4 or 5 years old in the mid-'80s. And again, to be fair to that, Doctor Who always has felt different. You know, it's always reinvented itself. I've talked several times in reviews where sometimes if I'm going from a 60s story to an 80s story or an 80s story to a 60s story, it takes me a second to mentally shift gears to that. Like I have to adjust from a 60s story to an 80s story or an 80s story to a 60s story. I have to just kind of get my gears shifted to the right frame of mind for that. I've mentioned that in several reviews. So, you know, Battlefield is not going to feel like the Time Meddler. And that's fine. It's nothing wrong with a show reinventing itself. That's the key to Doctor Who's success, honestly. But it feels so different now, and really has since, I'd say partway through the Matt Smith era, but at least partway through the Capaldi era, and certainly by the time we get to Series 11, it just feels like a hard reboot now. It feels like a different thing entirely, and I can't quite feel invested for it. I talked before on the channel about how we are not the target audience. The people who grew up with Doctor Who, especially the classic fans, we are not the target audience for Modern Who. I talked about this before when I did my second Star Beast video. We're not the target audience. There's a reason why they're making that new version of the Daleks that's chopped down to 75 minutes and colorized and has new music. Because we're not the target audience. They want to try to get these younger people with the shorter attention spans who can't, you know, who can only type a short message on Twitter because that's all they can do. But they're trying to get them into the show. There's a reason why the animations we're getting now in Doctor Who are the primary version of them. The ones shown at the BFI are the ones that where they do all of the episodes in 16:9 in color. They're all animated. Like the Underwater Menace was done in black and white and in color. The black and white's in 4:3, the color's in 16:9. And of course, they animate the whole thing, even though 2 of the episodes, half of the story, exist. Which one was shown at the BFI? Was it the black and whites with the surviving episodes? No! It was the fully animated story in 16:9 in color, because that is the target audience. They are trying to target a different demographic of audience now. Because they know the classic Who fans are going to buy it or watch it anyway, although some of us are not. Let's be honest. People are tuning out. But they're busy trying to get new people on board. They want Doctor Who to be as popular as it was from like 2008 to 2014. They want that. They want that appeal in America that it had in those years. They want it to be like that in the UK. They want the merchandise just stored on the shelf again. And they're going about it the wrong way, but that's a totally another story. So, now that I'm gone on to a tangent about that, let's talk about the Star Beast. The Star Beast, again, I liked. It's a great adaptation of the Beep the Meep Star Beast story. I've never actually read that comic strip, to be honest, so I guess I shouldn't say that. But I like the fact that they looked backwards to do this story. I think the Meep is realized really well on the screen. I like how the Meep is brought to life. Now, I knew about the twist ahead of time because I'm a Doctor Who fan, and of course it was all over the internet. But it was still cool to see. The Wrath Warriors were designed well, and I love that they talk in just normal voices. The little Wrath Warriors, I love their voices. I just do. I think for the most part, let's call it the agenda pushing or the messaging or the politics in it, if you prefer, are handled well, especially with Rose. Most of that is handled really well. Even the bit when she gets on the Doctor about pronouns with the Meep didn't bother me like it did some people. I just kind of rolled with it and went on. The only part I had a problem with was that part at the beginning, or at the end, excuse me, at the end with the, yes, we know everything, and you know nothing.
Yes, we know everything. Thanks. And you know nothing. It's a shame you're not a woman anymore. She'd have understood. We've got all that power, but there is a way to get rid of it. Something a male-presenting Time Lord will never understand. Just let it go. And we choose to let it go.
That's the most cringe-worthy moment in Doctor Who I've ever seen. Even worse than the moon is an egg. That scene makes the Fourth Doctor trying to communicate with Arato and Creature from the Pit look like an Oscar performance. Like seriously, Tom Baker should retroactively get an Oscar for that scene compared to the crap we got here. That scene is the most cringeworthy thing I've ever seen in Doctor Who. It is also the most unnecessary thing I've ever seen in Doctor Who. It is blatantly sexist, but that's another story. Blatantly sexist. But that's the only time in the episode where the politics bothered me that I can think of right off. I thought everything else was handled really well. The wheelchair stuff, the transgender stuff, I thought was handled very well, actually. Actually, like Scientist 56, and I was fine with the character of Rose. In all of the specials, I think Tennant slips back into the role well. I think Catherine Tate slips back into the role well. I enjoyed the Star Beast as a story. Again, it doesn't really feel like an anniversary special, but I did like it as a story. I always enjoy the Doctor and Donna together. My biggest complaint about Series 4 was I wish we'd had more of the Doctor and Donna together. It's the main criticisms I've had about episodes like Midnight and Turn Left. I don't think they're bad episodes, but I've always criticized that they take the place of episodes we could have had that actually had the Doctor and Donna together in them, because they're a great duo. So this basically gives me 3 more Series 4 episodes, basically, in spirit, of the Doctor and Donna together, and I love all 3 of them for that. But my favorite of them was Wild Blue Yonder. I actually really enjoyed Wild Blue Yonder. The Isaac Newton thing doesn't bother me. I mean, Russell's reason for doing it's very annoying, but the actual in-universe reason for in-universe it doesn't bother me, because I've already told you, in my headcanon, they're in a different universe. They're not in the main universe, because we know, like, people who are well-versed in Doctor Who, basically people who watch classic Doctor Who, know that Isaac Newton discovered the law of gravity because the 4th Doctor dropped apples on its head, because that is mentioned in The Pirate Planet. The Doctor mentions that, I believe, to Romana. He mentions that he was dropping apples on Isaac's head. Oh, is that how he got it? Well, I explained it to him over dinner later.
Good Isaac, friend of mine on Earth. Discovered gravity. Well, I say you discovered gravity. I'd give him a bit of a prod.
What did you do?
Climbed up a tree.
And?
Dropped an apple on his head.
Ah, so he discovered gravity.
No, intended to clear off out of his tree. I explained it to him afterwards at dinner.
So we know, in canon, it was the 4th Doctor dropping apples on Isaac Newton's head that led to the discovery of gravity. Now, there's different ways you can headcanon that. It could just be the 4th Doctor spinning a tall tale, because let's be honest, there's a lot of Tom in the 4th Doctor. Tom Baker really is just the 4th Doctor. The 4th Doctor really is just Tom Baker. And, you know, Tom Baker is not above telling the tall tale every now and then, but we love them. Like, a lot of the stories Tom tells, I never know if they're true or if they're just one of Tom's tales, and I never care either. I just love listening to Tom Baker talk. He's one of the greatest people in the world to just listen to him talk about Doctor Who or about anything. It's always so wonderful to listen to him. I never worry about if his stories are true or not. I just love hearing them. And so the 4th Doctor could be just spinning a yarn. If you want to go with that headcanon. I don't. I firmly believe that that's what happened. So it would be impossible for the 14th Doctor to do that. So the other logical explanation that solves everything is that the TARDIS, because it was malfunctioning, slipped into another universe, because the TARDIS can travel between dimensions. It's happened many times. He slipped into a parallel Earth, which would also explain why Isaac Newton looks different. That would be a perfectly logical reason why he is Indian, why he has Indian ethnicity, is because it's a different universe, Isaac Newton. That makes way more sense to me, and it explains why the 14th Doctor causes him to discover gravity. And so that doesn't bother me, because the headcanon I have for that fits it perfectly. So that actually doesn't bother me. Now, the real reason we know why Russell did it can be a little eye-rolling, but in the universe itself, I have no problems with it. The actual story is great. I actually enjoy the CGI stuff. People have complained about the CGI. I love the CGI. It looks, I mean, it's Doctor Who. That's some of the best Doctor Who has ever looked. I've seen some shoddy CGI. I mean, I've seen shoddy Doctor Who CGI and practical effects. I grew up with classic Who. I've seen the dangers of green bubble wrap. So, you know, I don't go into Doctor Who expecting it to be blowing me away effects anyway. But I think they looked really good in this. And I liked that the creatures, when they have the long arms and the jaw dropping and stuff, I like the fact that they don't look David Cronenberg creepy. I like the fact they have a little more comedic take on that. I enjoy that. And I love the fact that a lot of the hand stuff, when you watch behind the scenes, you see that was done with practical effects. That's pretty cool, I will admit. And David's having so much fun with that fake hand of his. So I enjoy when the creatures look a little different sometimes. I think that's done well. I love the fact we get some very tender moments between the Doctor and Donna, even if sometimes it's between them and their doppelgangers. I like the fact that the conversation between Donna and the doppelganger of David, and then the Doctor and the doppelganger of Donna, are handled so tonally different. One of the YouTube reviewers pointed this out. How the one with Donna, real Donna, and the fake Doctor is handled more comedically, whereas the one with the real Doctor and the fake Donna is handled more dramatic and sad and melancholy-like. And it's intercutting between the two of them. And I love that tonal difference between them a lot. I enjoy the set design. I love the way the ship looks. I love the explanation of how the alien tricked them and how she set everything in motion to destroy the ship. This really is one of those situations where if the Doctor hadn't even been there, things would have turned out the same. If you think about it, it really is one of those moments where if the Doctor and Donna never got there, everything would have turned out exactly the same. Matter of fact, them showing up almost ruined it. Which is kind of neat. I enjoy an episode like that. I really liked Wild Blue Yonder. And we got to see Wilf back. You know, Bernard Cribbins back one last time. That was truly a joy. Overall, the biggest problem with these specials is that none of them felt like anniversary specials. They just felt like episodes. Now, judging them just as episodes, I like them. Judging them as specials, they don't work. Like, Power of the Doctor actually works better as a special. Because I actually, you know, Power of the Doctor actually feels like an anniversary special. You have great callbacks in there. It kind of reminds me of the Five Doctors. The plot might be a little silly, but it's more about getting the band back together to celebrate the history of the show. And while the Five Doctors is a lot better than Power of the Doctor, they still have those kind of similar feels of doing that. It's great bringing companions back. It does a good job of bringing past Doctors back and making it fit in the story with the Guardians of the Edge and with the holographic Doctors running around talking to Tegan and Ace. It feels very organic, that story. I mean, there's bits of it that are a little silly and don't work. But it's fun. It feels like a fun anniversary special. And I don't know. Like, I definitely like Power of the Doctor better than the Star Beast and the Giggle. I'm not quite sure about Wild Blue Yonder. I'd have to think about that one. I'll get around to that when I start ranking all of Modern Who. That's a video I want to do, ranking all of Modern Who from worst to best. That'll be fun. But yeah, at the end of the day, enjoyable, bit disappointing. They don't live up to the title of anniversaries, but it's nice to see the Doctor and Donna and David Tennant and Catherine Tate get to have some more stories together. I don't think any of them are bad, even if some of them might have some cringeworthy moments in it. I find them all enjoyable to watch. I have the Steelbook pre-ordered. I'll be happy when I get it in. So that's just kind of my thoughts on that. They're very all over the place, aren't they? I could have scripted this better. So I want to know what you think of the 60th anniversary specials and how you would rank them. So comment down below and let me know. Don't forget to click the like button and the subscribe button and the bell for notifications as well. I also have a Patreon. If you like what I do and would like to support what I do, there's a link to that down in the description below. And get early access to videos, exclusive videos, vote in exclusive polls. I also have YouTube memberships available as well, where you get a lot of that stuff as well. I want to give a shout out to some of my top tier patrons, Stephen Crane, Colin Coney, and Finn Perkins. I appreciate their support, as I do the support of all of my patrons and all of my YouTube members. I have a P.O. box down there if there's anything you'd like to send me to look at and review. This was actually sent to me by one of my subscribers, who's also one of my patrons, Simon. And I enjoyed getting to watch it again. This is better than all three of the 60th anniversary specials, except maybe Wild Blue Yonder. I'll have to think on that. I lost my train of thought. As always, thank you for watching.